It's time for Maths with
Me! Ellis, are you ready for this?
Yes!
Okay, let's go! Here we go, chapter 7, lesson number 4. This is the second lesson looking at the area of a triangle. Bum bum bum. You will remember in the last lesson what we were doing was working out the area of a triangle if we knew two of the sides and the angle between them, because we used the formula area equals a half AB sine C. Well done. And the capital letter C represented the angle, and A and B was
The two sides!
brilliant. So you've got half times one side times the other side times by sine of the angle between them. However, now you are an expert with this. We're going to move on, and I'm going to give you the area of the triangle, and instead of working that out, you're going to have to work out either the length of the side or the size of an angle. Ooh, I don't know if I can do that. You will, you'll manage it. Let's try some examples. So, examples 1 to 8 were in the previous lesson on the area of a triangle, so I'm picking up with example 9. This triangle has an area of 32 square meters. Calculate the size of angle P. So I'm just calling this angle P, and we want to know the size of it. How do we go about doing that then?
Well, because it's to do with the area, could we start off writing the area formula?
That is exactly what you do. Yes, well done, Charlotte. You start off writing area equals a half AB sine C. And then what do you think you do, Carrie?
Then you sub in.
You do, you just sub everything in. So the area, what is the area?
That's 32.
It is indeed, yeah. The area equals, well, we know what the area is. We know the area is 32. We can say 32 equals, and then a half AB sine C. But let's sub in. So it's going to be a half times by, what are A and B going to be?
Well, it's two sides and the angle between them. So A and B are just going to be the two sides either side of the angle that we want to find.
Perfect. So it's going to be the 7 and the 10. And it doesn't matter which way around you have it. So you've got a half times 7 times by 10 times by, and we've got sine C. What is sine C going to be? Yeah, brilliant. Well done. Because we're calling this angle P, instead of sine C, we're going to say it's sine P. Now what we need to do is we need to work out what sine P is going to be. So how do we go about doing that? Joe, help us out. What do we do next?
Well, you could always do a half times 7 times 10.
You're perfectly right. Yeah, you could work this out. Half times 7 times 10 just really means a half of 7 times 10. So 7 times 10, 70. Half of that's 35. So really we end up with 32 equals 35 times sine P. How do we get the sine P just on its own, though? That is what we're wanting to get to start with. We just want to get sine P. So we need to get rid of this multiply by 35. What is the opposite of multiply by 35?
Divide by 35.
Yes, it is indeed. So divide both sides by 35, meaning we would have 32 divided by 35 would equal, and that would get rid of this bit here, leaving us just with sine P. So in other words, if I write that back to front, sine P would equal 32 divided by 35. Woo! This has given us then the value of sine P. So we know sine P is 32 over 35.
Could you work that out on the calculator?
You could always work that out in the calculator. Yes, if you do 32 divided by 35, you end up with 0.91428 blah 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 blah. Do not round that answer because you want it to be fairly accurate, because it's not our final answer. Because we're not asked for the value of sine P, we're asked for P itself. So how do we get rid of sine? Brilliant, yes! You would have to take the inverse sine of sine, and then inverse sine and sine are going to cancel out. But on the other side, we would also have to take the inverse sine of this number here. So inverse sine this side, and then inverse sine and sine cancel out, leaving us just with P. But then on the other side, also do the inverse of sine. So sine to the -1 of that, and So sine to the minus 1 of that number that was on our calculator. A lot of the time you'll just do shift sine or inverse sine, second sine. You'll get sine to the minus 1 and then use the answer button. So sine to minus 1 of the previous answer. And then you can work that out on your calculator by pressing equals, and it gives you a value then for P, and P works out to be 66.1 degree. Woo! Well done.
Can we try another one?
Of course you can. Example 10. This triangle has an area of 1,486 squared centimetres. Calculate the size of angle A, B, C. So, going from A to B to C is going to be this angle here. So once again, what we're thinking is, it's really two sides and the angle between them. Woo! So if it's two sides and the angle between them, we're thinking
a half AB sine C.
Brilliant, you are indeed. Yes, well done, Kiara. So you can say area equals a half AB sine C. After you've done that, what do you then do? Bobby?
Could you just sub in everything?
You can indeed, yes. So the area, what's the area, Bobby?
1486.
Brilliant, so we've got 1486 would equal. Go on, Bobby, take it from there.
Half.
Yes. And then A and B, what are A and B going to be, Bobby?
The two sides, which would be 50 and 80.
Yeah, well done, Bobby. So you've got 50 and the 80. Does it matter which one's which, Bobby?
No.
Well done, Bobby. And we're multiplying that by sine C. So sine is just going to stay as sine. And it's sine C, but we're asked for this angle here. This is the one we want, where B is. So do not let this letter confuse you. That is just the formula. It just means two sides and the angle between them. But here, because it is this angle we want it B, we're going to change it in our formula. So we've got half times 50 times 80 times sine of the angle we want, and the angle we want is B. So it'll be sine B. Ba-ba-ba-bam. From there, what can we then do? Christy?
Well, we can work out half of 50 times 80.
You could indeed, yes. If you do 50 times 80, 5 times 8, and then just add on the two zeros, and you can half that. That's giving you 2,000. So 1,486 equals 2,000 times sine B. Before we get B, work out what sine B is. How do we get sine B on its own?
We would have to get rid of that times by 2,000.
You do.
Well, you just do the opposite, so you divide by 2,000. Divide both sides by 2,000.
So you get sine B equals the 1,486 divided by 2,000. Yes! Well done. You could always leave it as that and then do B equals sine to the minus 1 of that fraction. Or you could simplify that on a calculator. You can work it out and you will get 0.743 exactly. That's what sine B is. But yes, to get B just on its own, we have to get rid of sine. So we're wanting to do the inverse sine. Inverse sine of sine will cancel out. And on the other side as well, do inverse sine of the 0.743. So we'll write that down as B equals sine to the minus 1 of 0.743. Work that out on your calculator. Doink, 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 doink. And you get 47.99 degrees. And it means then the size of angle ABC is going to be the 47.99 degrees. Yeah! Well done, people. Well done. Example 11. This triangle has an area of 5.2 squared centimetres. Calculate the length of side Y. So once again, we are given the area. Oh, yeah! But we're having to work out the length of a side. Oh, no! But you start off the exact same way. Because this question's to do with the area of a triangle, write down the area of a triangle formula. And that is, David?
Area's a half AB sine C.
Brilliant. So write down area equals a half AB sine C. And then just sum in what you know. So go through this. Do you know the area, David?
Yes, it's 5.2.
Good. So you could say 5.2 equals a half is obviously a half. You multiply that by AB and then sine C. A and B are the two sides. Remember, it's two sides and the angle between them for this formula. So looking at our little diagram down here, we've got our two sides, bum ba bum, bum ba bum, and the angle between them. So we're going to have our A and our B and our sine of the angle, which will be the sine of 75. Remember the A and the B, it doesn't matter which one's which. One of them in this formula here will be replaced with 3, and the other one will be replaced with y. So we can say it's a half times by the y times by the 3 times by, and then sine of the angle between them. So it'll be times sine 75. Woo! We are having to work out the length of side y, so we want to get y just on its own. You can do this different ways. What I would do first of all though is just work out that half of 3. You've got half there, you multiply that by 3, half 3 is 1.5, so I'd rewrite that as 5.2 equals 1.5 times y times sine 75. You could also do 1.5 times sine 75 and you end up with a decimal. You can do that absolutely fine, so you get y equals whatever that decimal would be. And then to get y on its own, do 5.2 divided by that decimal. I just prefer to avoid the decimals. But to get the y on its own, I'm really multiplying it by the 1.5 times sine 75. So to get the y on its own, I'm getting rid of that multiplied by the 1.5 times sine 75. And therefore, to get rid of the times by the 1.5 times sine 75, I would divide by that. So to get y on its own, I'm doing the 5.2 divided by, and then 1.5 times sine 75. If you then work that out on your calculator, you get no you don't, you get 3.59 centimetres. And that'll be your answer.
Yeah.
And example 12. This triangle has an area of 89.1 squared centimetres. Calculate the length of side G.
Gee, that looks difficult. How do we do it?
Well, Luca, what do you think you do?
Do you write down the formula and sub in?
You do indeed. Well done, Luca. So the formula is area equals a half AB sine C. So write that down. Luca, I'm sticking with you because you're so good at this. What is the area? It's 89.1. Good. So you've got 89.1 equals a half AB sine C. A half is going to stay as a half. You're multiplying that by A and B and sine of the angle. There is the angle. It's 121. And A and B, where are A and B going to be? It's the two sides. Good. It's two sides and the angle between them. So A and B are going to be replaced with both G and 16. And again, doesn't matter which way around you have it. So you've got the G and the 16. And finally, you're multiplying that by sine C. And it's sine of the angle that's between them. The angle between them is... Good, well done. It is 121, so it's going to be times by sine 121. Woo! After that, again, you can do this different ways. I just like to do a half of just the number. So a half of 16 would give you 8. So 89.1 is going to be 8 times G times by the sine of 121. I want to get G just on its own, so I need to get rid of the multiply by 8 times sine 121. And the way I get rid of times by that would be to divide by the 8 times sine 121. So both sides do that. So you get 89.1 divided by 8 times sine 121. If you stick that into your magical box, beep, 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 boop, beep, boop, 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 you end up with an answer of 12.99 meters. Yeah. That is some questions looking at working out either the length of the side or the size of an angle. using the area of a triangle formula. There are additional questions here in the Lecky and Lecky book, page 296 and 297, exercise 25b, and once again there's lots of practice questions out there if you've got past papers or other textbooks. Hopefully that makes sense. Enjoy, good luck. If you can do that, high fives, you're amazing, well done. Yeah. See ya.